Everyone, and welcome back to part 1.2 of our project, building a business web app with microservices. So my name is Reg, and we're continuing to build the foundation for a long-term project. So if you missed anything of the first part, just no worries. We'll start just with a quick recap of what we've covered so far. As a reminder, the goal is to build a business management web app using a microservice architecture. So we're going to be doing this by taking a laid-back approach, just building the first version using a more monolithic approach with the Django web framework, just for easy development, and we'll eventually break everything down into smaller and small scalable services. So what we actually did on last stream is we prompted ChatGPT with multiple just basic infrastructure for our Docker project. Here we had just the public facing app that's going to be our admin app, our admin panel. Public users, more of our admin users. Next up, it's going to hit a Kong API gateway, and here this is one issue I wanted to clear up. I'm going to be using the open source, which doesn't handle GraphQL. So we will be adding an extra service, an extra server here to handle all those GraphQL requests. Same goes for, I'll need to check, but OAuth and all the authentication. The open source Kong API doesn't support it. Everything that's here right now, it's already split into microservices, but that's going to be our Django monolith with all the apps. Our database, our Redis server for caching, RabbitMQ, which is going to be used for just async communication, and next down all the log aggregation, the metrics. And we're just going to go through everything and kind of figure out all our networks, our internal, external networks, separating everything and securing everything. Everything after that, once everything is all set up, I am just going to go create this Figma Jamboard on Figma for more visual, and I can reference for later on when I'm building up all my apps rather than always going back and forth inside of the ChatGPT conversation. And that reminds me, another program we're going to be using is Asana, which is a project management software. And what I'm going to be using it for is create a new project, blank project. Yeah, what I'm going to be using it for is storing all my ChatGPT conversations inside. So it's going to be a lot easier to go back and forth, because one thing, if you haven't, well, or if you've been using ChatGPT for a while or you're new to it, the chat history is kind of finicky. I mean, everything is here. There's no search. So when you're trying to go back to an older chat, it's like an older conversation, it's really a hassle. So everything is going to be inside of here. Create this task. So for the task name, it's just going to be the Docker infra structure. And unfortunately, I can't zoom in here if you guys don't see too good. And when I click on that task, the description pops up. And what I'll be doing is just copy pasting the conversation inside of here. And there we go. So, what I'd like to add is eventually, I'm going to split this right now, but have really an external, I'm thinking more of an external network and more of an internal network. I know you can do it. So it actually separates what people can actually access into the backend. They only have access. I want them only to have access to this API gateway. So I'm going to start prompting, try to develop all that idea, and go forward. So yeah, so this is not exactly what I wanted to do. What I'm more looking to do is actually just try to do it inside of here manually. Can I do a dotted rectangle? And yes, I can. Or can I just go ahead and do a section? So I want this to be my external network. which will be public. And that will contain our API gateway. And next up, to have this internal network, which will be private and only accessible from this API gateway. Why are you always... There. So the client contacts the API gateway, which in turn contacts the internal network. I'm thinking of putting it from top to bottom, which will be easier in the long run for visualization. Yes. I don't know if I can make it rapid. Wait. Yeah, so it's showing me public and the private network. No, I don't know. I was thinking more of just wrapping it around like this one here, so it really helps in the visualization. But I mean, I'm not going to get it, obviously. So we'll just keep on and breaking things down. And hopefully everything will make sense in this Figma Jamboard. Well, now I'm just going to go ahead and try to tackle that issue of this open source calling the API gateway, so we can actually have our GraphQL server here. And I know for a fact that I think it's Apollo server, which is a pretty popular GraphQL server, which aggregates, saves, it caches everything. So I'm pretty sure we're going to go up and use this server here. Yeah, so yeah, the Apollo GraphQL server will go right here after the API gateway and will be in our internal network. Even so, here it says it's in the public external rock on ChatGPT. It shouldn't go there. Server. Same thing. This is what I like and dislike about planning this much. I mean, there's a lot of things that to be honest, I've never really done. So we will we will be changing things as we move along. So I don't want to waste too much time here. As long as I know things will look somewhat. I mean, they won't break as soon as we start. So here next up, the Postgres will go beneath. This will be our Django app here. And this will obviously connect directly to GraphQL server. And the GraphQL server will connect for now. Even if you can just use Graphene Django and work everything out, since I'll be breaking them down eventually. That's why I'm doing the Apollo server right now. Or else it's gonna bite us later on. So why can't I make an arrow from here? Why? not zoomed in enough. And I'm thinking might as well just wrap this right now with no fill. And connect the server to here and simulate like if we have, I don't know, the inventory service. Just to show that I'll have multiple services inside of here later on. PostgreSQL. So for now, like I said, to keep things simple and cost efficient, I will only be using one database for all my services. Yeah. And Postgres, I'll talk to Redis. And all my services will be connected to RabbitMQ for the asynchronous communication. Between them will be some gRPC communication. Which will go back and forth. Redis, RabbitMQ. So for now, and try to break down what I would need for log aggregation metrics and everything. And one thing I'm not quite sure yet, I know there's something called the service mesh that helps to communicate between apps with does the retries, the security and everything, except of just using gRPC. Service meshes, I know they're used in Kubernetes, but I'm not sure if it's applicable in just the Docker infrastructure. Yeah. Yeah, so I won't need any load balancing, retries, might, and timeouts. And scaling, no, because I won't be scaling anything since I'm just using Docker and not Kubernetes. Worst comes to worst, I can always just try to write some code to do retries if something comes wrong and put in like a maximum retries. Yeah, so I'm not going to do service mesh now. So obviously it's not useful for now. And same goes for logging and metrics and alerts and tracing. They are useful, but just to keep things simple and just get this thing done and working. I think I'm going to stop this right here and start working on exactly what service. On one thing I forgot. Yeah, I knew I forgot something. Since I'm going to have an external network, and even for this, I think even the external network and internal network, just for development, I'm not going to waste too much time with it. Only once everything's up and running, or else I'm always going to have not trouble, but having to go inside of here to debug. But just to show how things will look. I am gonna need an engine next one. They're called the ingress controllers, which are essentially just servers. Like, they're servers to debug and communicate from the, not from the user side, but the programmers and the developers and everything, to communicate directly to a service, or like log on to the actual Linux server of one of our microservices for debugging updates or logs. So they are useful, and we might need to use them once we're in production. Yeah. But this ain't right. Actually, it's supposed to go here. Which this is the Admin. Which will connect to here, and this will connect to basically all the inside of our private network, depending how this is set up. Yeah, so I think there's still a lot of work to be done, but this should get us started. So now I think I'm gonna start working on all the applications that are going to be in our Django app to get things working, and start the Docker project later on and start developing all those apps. So I will be starting a new conversation and start prompting and creating and brainstorming all of those apps, which I will then later on use to figure out all my information architecture that I need, all my database columns, whatever things, how everything connects. I'm going to use this section part. So section 1 to keep things organized because I'm gonna have a lot of apps. I'll try creating some sections so I know that I'll have an e-commerce section with multiple web apps, and I will have a CRM. I'll have a blog for sure. There'll be more in another section. I'll have, this will probably be a shared, but I'll have a search section, which will be shared throughout all of them, because you can search blogs, you can search products, client names. So let's see what the output is there. E-commerce, CRM, inventory, which actually pretty much goes inside the e-commerce. Payment, which goes into e-commerce. Yeah, marketing and I actually split these two. Automations. Video B. It's on section 2. I mean, its setting and configuration will all be inside of the app. Notification system. I'll put it down for now, but I'm not thinking that I'll need its very own section. I might. And user management that I skipped. So we'll just start here and start just breaking everything down. So for user authentication permissions, I'll just keep the default Django auth app that's provided with Django, because I know that I'll be using probably a third party product for its own service later on when I break everything down. So I won't go too crazy here. I want to skip it, but I'll come to it later on. I'll try to concentrate mostly on commerce. I mean, I will be modifying the default user in Django so it matches what will eventually be in that third-party app. But I'm not going to create anything other than probably and getting the JSON Web Token, the JWT, in the authentication. So we'll start with the commerce section. for sure we'll be having a product tag. This, the category, is mostly going to be managed by our search. Well, not this. Well, yeah, the search app, because we're gonna have categories from the blog, from the products, from the automations, and so on and so on. So I already know that I'm gonna decouple this as much as I can. So let's work product order. Sure, the inventory. Am I the only one that finds this awesome? How much information this spits out? Right. Order service. optional. Might as well put it. That would help. Yes, the discounts and promotion. That could also go inside of marketing, depending how we see it. Discounts. Let's name this discounts for the simplicity. And sales would be a great one. Customer service will be inside of the CRM. Yeah, just go ahead and put in customer in here for now. The reviews and rating service, that should be, because there will be ratings and reviews on the blog, on the products. We can even put ratings on our own media files. So this should be our very own section for now. Use ratings. Shipping and delivery. Yes, the tax service. Even notification system, I'm thinking of putting it inside of automations because it's somewhat, I'll keep them separate for now because I might get flashes of what I could put inside of there. But automation, the emails will be processed through automations and flows. Or the automation will trigger the notifications. Let's go and work out the search app. Or category. Yeah, so now this is just giving me way too much information. one thing I just remembered. For the products, you have the actual product, and most of the time you already you have a variance for that product. So for a t-shirt, well, you have either a red, a green, or black. Same goes for a green, small, medium, large. So you have multiple variants for the same product. And this is where we're going to add it. And another good one is all our search engine optimization. So every page will have their own title. Well, it's going to default to the product title or the blog title or whatever, but you'll still have the chance to change the title, the description, whatever you want to add. For marketing, we will also have social media. So in the search section, we will have categories. Category. Also for search and sorting, you have tags. Not too sure about the filter option. I mean, I'll put it in there anyways, and we'll see how it goes. Search. Suggestion. Synonym. It did. So I'll put in the search analytics here for the time being. Although I will have here analytics and reporting. This is starting to look like a pretty big project. And before I forget, let's go back into Asana, add a new task, and save this conversation for later use. I'm gonna call this service brainstorm. There. And yeah. So we did get, oh, here, just rename this. service brainstorm. Yeah. So this is starting to look somewhat complete. And I think we're going to call it a night. So, just for a quick recap, what we've been doing and creating is figure out that the external network, the whole base of the infrastructure that's going to be inside of our inside we're using Docker, how we'll be going through the GraphQL, the Django apps, preparing to split it into microservices, how everything will be connected to one database, the RabbitMQ server, and we started to break down exactly what service we're going to be using, split by section, just to keep things clean and organized, even though this will all be individual apps that will talk to each other. And yeah, so the next stream we're just gonna be working and breaking this into chunks until we have our complete app. So I will see you on the next stream.